Nathan Schulte.
I'm Dirk Umbenhauer.
And I'm Isaac Logeman.
And we're very excited to be here after the final Vikings victory of the regular season, putting the Vikings with a 13-3 record tied for first in the NFC. Tiebreaker goes to the Eagles, so we're the number 2 seed heading into the playoffs. How do we feel about that?
Besides the fact that I dislike the Eagles, I feel very well about that. It's a good bye. Rest up Xavier Rhodes, who got hurt a little bit Sunday. Rest up or get Pat Elflein healthy. Kyle Rudolph said he can finally get 100% healthy. Overall, I enjoy the bye week, and with the way Philadelphia's been playing, it feels like we are the number 1 seed. So
yeah, that's true. The Philadelphia Eagles have looked horrible against two or three horrible teams. So that can show you what we can think about them.
Yeah, I think it's a little ironic, too. The one year we decided to finally make this podcast, the Vikings Rant podcast, the Vikings go ahead and go 13-3 and leave us not much to rant about. This podcast has turned into something else entirely than what it was meant to be because the Vikings are just too incredible. But I'm okay with that.
I say we deserve partial credit if we make the Super Bowl.
Entirely.
Yes, and of course, if we don't make the Super Bowl, we will take 0 of the credit.
But again, to just recap overall in the season, being 13-3, I think it's the perfect place to be. I mean, I think that loss to Carolina was in a good time. I think if we would have been winning continuously and we have won everything and we're the number 1 seed, I think it would have just been too much pressure. I think we're at a great place, number 2 seed with a bye year, and we got a good shot to do some dangerous things down the line here.
Yeah, very exciting. As you mentioned, a few injuries. Xavier Rhodes seems to have been nursing something for the past few weeks, so hopefully he can finally get that fully healthy, and we do not see him on the sideline during any of our playoff games. That would be huge. And Pat Elflein, truly the center of our line. He is the very
most funny.
Thank you. He is a very necessary piece to that line. And so it would be great if he could get fully healthy ahead of a game against possibly the Rams, Saints, or Panthers.
Yeah, Pat Elflein, I think, will be healthy. He was taking some practice reps yesterday, and that they're having a couple practices this week before they send the team off on a bye.
Well, I don't think they're going anywhere, though.
And to clarify, Nathan, it's not the Rams, Saints, or Panthers, correct? It's the Rams, Saints, or Falcons.
No,
Falcons we would never play.
Panthers.
Panthers are 6th seed, are they not?
They are the 5th seed.
My apologies.
Yes, apologies accepted.
So yeah, we got a good bye week to rest up, but let's talk about how we got that bye week in a 23-10 win over the Bears that felt like we blew them out. Same time felt like it was closer than it should have been. Offensively, very conservative game plan. Murray got over 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, great day. Adam Thielen.
Still, I mean, if you think about that and put that in context, it's a very good Bears front that we got that against. And we were doing it with a battered line, so still very impressive and good to know that we had that run game going strong into the playoffs.
Yes, very good to know. Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs both had 60-yard games, but the offense looked very stagnant sometimes and slow. Is there any concern at all about the offense the past few games going into the playoffs?
Dirk, I don't think so right now. I think, kind of like Nathan had said before we started recording this podcast here, that they're aware the playoffs start these next few weeks, and so they're holding back a little bit. They're not going to play every big, exciting play they have right for the playoffs. They're not going to do every formation or every look that they want to do in these deep playoff runs. But at the same time, they wanted to do enough to win, and that's exactly what they did, Dirk. They went out there, got the running game going, showed a few passes. Additionally, on Adam Thielen, not only did he have a decent game, he caught 6 catches, which got him to 90 receptions, which got him $250,000. So congrats to him there.
Yeah, and a quick note on like the holding back plays and stuff. I don't know if any of you guys remember the Kansas City Chiefs. I think it was last year when they were like completely destroying the Raiders. And then at the end, they're on the goal line and they bring in Dontari Poe and they have him pass for a touchdown. That was like, why would you do that? Like, totally unnecessary play, gave up one of their tricks, and they couldn't use that in the playoffs. And so, I don't know, like, I just feel like I'm glad that the Vikings are not doing things like that to give up some of their potential plays that they could use later on. I really like that we are holding back, and I think it's making a lot of people nervous, like, oh, what's happened to our offense? But we've played 3 really horrible teams the past few weeks, and so I'm glad that we're holding out some of our strengths, and so that we can use them later on and catch teams off guard.
Yeah, we have had no real reason to expand the play calling beyond the basic runs and pass plays that we have. We hopefully have like a flea flicker in there or something like that. That'd be awesome. Let's bust it out in divisional round. Flea flicker, touchdown right away. Boom.
Oh, I don't know about that, but sure, Dirk. Sounds kind of interesting. I guess we could try it. I could see it.
I can't really see Mike Zimmer being like that. Mike Zimmer's more of a we're gonna do exactly what you think we're gonna do, and we're gonna do it well, and we're gonna beat you. Yeah, not much of a cheeky guy. Like when I don't know. When the Bears that fake punt return by the Bears, I was just like, you're so stupid. Like, if that's the only way you can score on us, like, screw it, whatever, fine.
I mean, if you look at the two Bears games, I think like half of their points have come off of special team touchdowns this season. I mean, the majority of the points came from that one punt return touchdown, which we need to clean up for next week because we cannot let that happen again, or for 2 weeks from now. But so that was where their only touchdown of the game came. Other than that, we completely shut them down. Except for
3 points for their offense.
Yeah, 3 points for the offense.
Has once again proved how great they are in the red zone. And then you look at like the first game we played against Chicago, in which the only touchdown or the second touchdown pass, or was it the first? I don't know, came from the fake punt touchdown throw. So kind of two really weird ways that the Bears made themselves look like they're more in the game that they really were not.
Yeah, but Nathan, you get to a good point defensively there for us on the defensive side. You know, we shut them down pretty much the whole game. We got a safety on intentional grounding. I believe they had like 0 rushing yards going into the fourth quarter or something like that. Shut them down. Yeah. When the Bears got down to our goal line twice, we stopped them on 4 straight plays, 2 separate times, and I think it bodes well for us in the playoffs. For example, I mean, the Bears' offense is not the same as the Rams or the Saints or any of these other offenses.
Yeah, it's better
in the playoffs. Did you say the Bears' offense is better?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, we all have the right to our opinions here. So there's that, but it leaves confidence that we can shut teams down. But when the going gets tough and the other teams, like the Saints or the Rams, start getting big drives, our defense can still lock it down in the red zone and hold them to just field goals or turn them over on fourth down.
Yeah,
and also on the strength of our defense, like you're saying, Dirk, they had very little rushing yards until very late. When it was halftime, it was the coolest thing in the world to look at the scoreboard and see -1 rushing yards for the Bears for half. I mean, that is just pathetic, and we shut them down entirely in the first half.
And the rushing is something they're supposed to be good at, so it's good to see that our rush defense is going strong. I didn't watch too closely, but I were there a lot of subs in the end of the game. Is that something we should be nervous about, that they were driving down so well?
For the Vikings?
Yes.
No, we had almost most of the starters in most of the entire game. A few names got exchanged, but they kind of stuck out that first team offense defense the entire game. So I had no worries there. They played it safe, but they didn't.
Like we were playing more of a prevent type defense too.
Yes,
that's fair. You don't want to give up a big play at the end of the game and make Case Keenum have to go out there and get someone hurt by having to do more offense. We don't want to see that.
And also, you don't really want to put Case Keenum in a position where he's come from or do like a comeback drive. I think kind of like this game, it's going to be important in the playoffs that we smack him down hard right away and score some points, because we're going to be such a better team up a touchdown than down a touchdown.
Well, I think that is true, but I think a few times this season, Case Keenum has proved that he can come back from behind.
Yep.
I mean, I'll cite the Bears game, the Redskins game, the Browns game. I think all of these we were at least losing at one point in the game, and we were able to come back and take over the game. So that was huge and good to see. Hopefully they can pull that off in the playoffs.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that basically just sums it up. A good, hard 23-10 win against our arch rival, and we sent John Fox off into being fired in a –
Yeah, as Dirk mentions, that huge shakeup in the NFC North. We are now going to be looking at completely 3 different teams as the Lions fire their head coach, the Bears fire their head coach, and the Packers fire their defensive coordinator, and they're going to have a new general manager next year as well.
Yeah, big shakeups. Green Bay sadly firing their defensive coordinator.
Yes.
I really like Green Bay.
I miss him. I miss him. I already miss Dom Capers.
Dom Capers is my favorite defensive coordinator ever. That's not on the Vikings.
He's just great.
Yeah, his defenses were in the late 20s and the 30s, which I liked. I hope they stay there.
Hopefully they hire someone just as incapable of the job.
Right. Same with Ted Thompson's old position at GM. They'll probably hire someone incompetent there who won't sign free agents, and I approve of that. At the same time, also, the Bears and the Lions both have big coaches are gone. They're searching for new ones, and George Edwards and Pat Schumer, as expected, are candidates for not just those jobs, but other jobs in New York and Arizona and other
ones. Pat Schumer has been a name I've heard thrown around a lot more. I'm not sure how much
George Edwards has an interview with the Bears on Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, that would be sad to see him go there. We do not want another Mike Zimmer defense in the NFC North. That would be brutal.
Yeah.
But I think it's definitely looking like Pat Schumer probably will get a job this offseason, and we will be looking for a new offensive coordinator, though hopefully.
Again, though, I think it depends on where we go, Nathan. I think depending on how this playoffs go, he might not leave. I mean, if we get close and don't win it, he might stay. He might want to stick with it.
But by that logic, I mean, Kyle Shanahan left Atlanta last season, and they were just 2 minutes away from the Super Bowl.
I mean, if we should be so unfortunate as to lose Pat Schumer next year, hopefully we're walking away with a giant shiny gold ring on our fingers.
Yes.
Preferably the middle one.
And a silver trophy in our hands. And hopefully we would not sign Norv Turner again.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll be looking for someone who can be another force of excitement. I mean, there's quite a few actually head coaches who have been fired that could potentially look at that offensive coordinator job. I mean, Jim Caldwell, I think, is a pretty great offensive mind, and I know he has a relationship with Mike Zimmer, so he could be potential for that candidate.
You know, we can hire for our coordinator.
Who?
Hugh Jackson, because after a 1-31 record, he is still going to coach that team.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I do not want Hugh Jackson anywhere close to the Vikings organization. I don't want Jackson close to the building.
I mean, you want to talk about the Browns really screwing the pooch. How about firing Pat Shermer after he had won 9 games for them over 2 seasons?
Yeah.
And keeping the coach who won 1 game for them over 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Why?
And the funniest part,
I mean, Pat Shermer looks incredible now.
Yeah,
I mean, 9 wins.
About the Browns going 0-16 was that the final play of the game was Deshaun Kaiser. They should have completed a pass on 4th down to get to Pittsburgh's 10, and it went right through their receiver's hands.
And I think the Browns held a parade.
Yes.
For their 0-16 season. So good for them. Good for them. And, you know, I will always root for the Browns to lose, especially after they lost that game to the Packers that they should have won.
Yeah. But analyzing this playoff field quickly, you know, we'll get to the NFC in a bit, but congratulations to the Buffalo Bills, who got in because the Ravens defense just stunk it up against Andy Dalton. Congratulations, Buffalo.
Yeah, well, that shows you how bad the Ravens really were and how bad the AFC playoff field is. I mean, the Buffalo Bills, probably the least deserving team to make the playoffs of any of the teams. I mean, they literally sat their starting quarterback midseason for seemingly no reason.
Yeah, I have to say, though, Bills versus Jaguars, probably my favorite wild card matchup.
Because it's going to be a blowout, or
because it's just going to be 2 teams that I've made fun of for so long, and they're in the playoffs, and I get to watch them.
It is kind of funny.
Well, the Bills are like 100-1 right now to win it all. I mean, just horrible odds. But it could happen. It could happen.
Really, I doubt it.
I wouldn't mind playing the Bills in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong. I would welcome that. If they should somehow ride a miracle wave of lucky plays all the way to the Super Bowl, I would welcome playing them. I mean, what a great joy that would be.
Oh, yeah. And we got to hope this year that the recent trend switches. In the past 4 years, 7 of the 8 number 1 seeds have made it to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if this year that changes or if we
well, last year the number 1 seed did not make it to the Super Bowl.
True.
Hence the 1 out of the 8 in the past 4 years.
What we're talking about is 7 out of the 8 teams who had a first-round bye made it to the Super Bowl.
All the 8 teams that have made it to the Super Bowl past few years have had a bye.
Yeah. So there you go.
But also, it is 7 out of the 8 first seeds.
I don't know.
Go fact check me, Nathan. Fact check me.
I'd rather not.
Because Zimmer on Sunday told the team before the game that every team who had made the Super Bowl in the past few years had a first-round bye. So he said, basically, if you want to make the Super Bowl, you go win this game and you go get that first-round bye. And the team was like, yes, we will. And
they did. And let's just say we don't really have to worry about the NFC's number 1 seed making the Super Bowl this year. Even if by some miracle they win their first game, they better get ready to get absolutely destroyed by the Vikings, where the Vikings just completely sit all over them and just wreck them. I mean, they're going to be crying. They will be so completely and utterly just beaten by the Vikings in every facet of the game that it will just be funny and sad to watch for the Eagles.
Yeah, Nick Foles, 4 interceptions, 5 sacks taken. I can see it now.
All right. Well, I guess it's time to move on to Isaac's nice words.
And now it's time for Nice Words with Isaac.
Well, Nathan, as I said earlier, this year has turned into a whole different podcast than I expected, because I kind of thought early on that it would be finding something nice to say out of a lot of bad. But it's exciting to find nice out of a lot of good. So this week I decided to give our nice words to the offensive line as a whole. For this game, they didn't do incredible, but they did enough. And that was with a whole different setup than what they hoped for. I mean, we were down 2 starters, but also we were switched around an additional one. So it was like 3 new starters or something. And they did what they needed to do. We got the running game going, so good for them. But all around this year, they've really stepped it up. And we can move people around. We can get subs in there and still be productive on that line and get the running game going and the pass protection there. So I really am excited about what they can provide for us down the stretch here. Hopefully we're healthy. Hopefully we get a couple Pat Elflein back in there at center. But even if not, we would be all right, but he should be back. I'm really excited that the offensive line this year is a really cohesive unit, up and down, bottom to top.
Yeah, the offensive line has shown significant improvement this year. Quick question for you guys after we finish that little segment there. What do you think about Mike Remmers at right guard?
I thought about this during the game on Sunday because we were doing a very good job running the ball. We did a pretty good job pass blocking. Could have been better, but I wouldn't mind Elflein at center, and I think you could, if you wanted to, go Remmers at guard. They ran the ball very well, and a good chunk of it, even the mention on the broadcast, was Remmers doing well at guard.
Yeah, we ran right on his shoulder a lot of the time, second half.
Yeah, I would Remmers is more of a run blocking guy anyway, which is what you want more out of a guard. So I think if you went Remmers and Berger at guard and Elflein at center, and then you put Hill at right tackle and Reef at left, I think that could be your best line combination.
I would not be surprised if that is our line combination. I don't know how Berger would fare at left guard. Has he done that? I bet he's a pretty versatile player, so I bet he could manage it. I would not be surprised if that becomes our starting lineup for the playoffs. And I certainly believe that I think Mike Remmers will be a guard next year instead of a tackle.
Well, no matter what, it makes Mike Remmers a lot more valuable of a player, knowing that he can play guard, and really he could probably do right, left, guard, and tackle. So knowing that is really helpful going down the stretch, that he is a very, very useful player at any spot he's going to play in.
And I think Rashad Hill has played well enough this season that we can trust him as a starting right tackle for sure.
Yeah.
He's really not gotten beaten that much at all, and he's facing pretty good pass rushers.
Yeah. Other interesting Viking note of the week, since we don't have many, was the quarterback that we all thought that we were done talking about is suddenly practicing again, Sam Bradford.
Yeah, and I think Sam Bradford, if he should return to the starting lineup, would probably be a backup and probably be there just in case we need just something weird happens and we want a really reliable quarterback. It's good to have that depth, but I don't see him really taking over as starter.
But you forget, Nathan, Mike Zimmer never fully committed to Keenum as the starter the rest of the year. So maybe it's Sam Bradford's job.
If Zimmer pulls out Keenum before the divisional game, it's going to be one of those moves that will haunt Vikings fans forever if Bradford were to replace Keenum as the starter in the division.
I cannot imagine. That would be terrible.
My only thing is I I feel like Keenum has 3 or 4 plays once a week that we're just like, this is why we don't trust this guy.
Yeah, but did we ever really trust Sam Bradford?
May have a point. You may have a point. Who do we?
But we have 3 quarterbacks active on our roster or almost active that are very legitimate starting quality quarterbacks. So that's exciting to know for these playoffs.
I think our 3 quarterback depth chart is probably would surpass each of the Eagles' starting quarterbacks right now. Let's think about some other playoff teams. I think nope, that's about it. They actually have some pretty good quarterbacks in the NFC. Now, in the AFC, that's another story. I think there's multiple teams in the AFC that would gladly take any of our 3 quarterbacks instead of theirs.
Let's look right now at the AFC. Brady, Big Ben. Big Ben's not even as good as he used to be anymore.
We just named the only
Alex
2 good
Smith
ones.
is having a good season-ish,
yeah.
But really the only guy – I mean, Big Ben's also been consistent, but the only guy you can call an elite quarterback still in those playoffs is Brady.
Well, yeah, because Joe Flacco obviously didn't make it, and he would have been the other elite one.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's eliteness could not save the Ravens defense.
All right, well, quick look at the NFC playoff field this week. We obviously do not have a game in the wild card weekend. Good for us. Get a little bye, get a little rest, as we talked about earlier. But many NFC do, and so we're looking at either playing the Rams, should they win their game against the Atlanta Falcons, which – to be honest, looks likely. So I would say that's probably our matchup.
The 49ers just beat the Rams, but yes.
But
the Rams didn't play their starters.
They didn't play their starters. I mean, granted, Jimmy Garoppolo did light up the Rams defense. So that's something encouraging to see. And maybe we will be looking forward to that happening again. We'll be looking at the winner of the Saints and Panthers. But, guys, who would you like to play?
The Rams.
Yeah,
because the Rams literally, one, we've beaten them by 17. We've shut down their top-ranked offense before in the same building. Secondly, they don't want to play us. They tried to avoid us.
They did.
You know, and because Tampa Bay got that great touchdown, that amazing touchdown to upset New Orleans last week, the Rams will probably have to play us. So we were the team they wanted to avoid until an NFC title game, and now they have to play us in the divisional round after they play Atlanta. And I think Atlanta is going to give LA a tough time. I think LA wins, but I think Atlanta makes it close.
I think Atlanta's going to win that game. I think
really?
They are definitely playoff tested. Last year they went deep, as we know. And so I think the youth of that team, Jared Goff is a great quarterback, but he has not experience. I think Atlanta Falcons pull this one out. And so I see us playing the winner of that other game, which is not quite as opportune as the other option, but we've beaten the Saints already, and the Panthers we lost in their stadium after a terribly grueling stretch. So we've got a good shot against anyone we can play.
I would say I would want to play the Rams first. I think we would easily beat the Rams. I don't think we would have a ton of problems with them. I could see them getting 1 or 2 big plays that make the game close, but I don't see us having a ton of problems with them. And I think that we could have no problem with the Panthers a second time around. I think with our offensive line not completely just falling apart in the middle of the game, that would help a lot. I think our defense not giving up 2 60-yard rushes, one of which to Jonathan Stewart for a touchdown, that would help a lot. And I think we would have no problem taking care of what truly is a flawed Panthers team at home. I think the team I would be most concerned about is Saints because of how much they developed since we last played them. They look good. Granted, they did just lose to the Buccaneers, so obviously they're not that good. But I think, I want to play the Rams first right now. I think if the Falcons win, I think that could be best case scenario because it means in the NFC Championship game, if we beat either the Saints or the Panthers, we're truly going to be getting a pretty easy team to play in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
I just think though with the Saints and Panthers, I'm a little more intimidated by Cam Newton than any one person on the Saints because yes, the Saints are probably the better team right now. We are very good at run defense, and that's their identity as a whole. Is they're a run offense first. Obviously, Drew Brees can come out at with that pass, but Cam Newton is a very mobile quarterback, as we know, and I don't think we've shown as strong against mobile quarterbacks as we have against running backs or pocket passers.
I'm with Nathan. I'd say I'm with Nathan here. Newton doesn't scare me as much at home as Newton would if we had to go to Charlotte.
Yeah, I think
Alvin Kamara scares me no matter where the heck he's playing.
I think Newton would have a truly tough time playing in front of the U.S. Bank Stadium crowd.
Yeah, but so I was saying Alvin Kamara, I'd say, is the player that scares me most because he was not getting used a ton when we played them week 1, and we've seen what he can do. I don't think Kamara would have a great day, but I think he could have a good day.
Let's just say I think Kamara would be looking at Anthony Barr a lot.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for you this week. We will be coming at you next week with the divisional round edition of Vikings Rant, looking at who the opponent actually will be and hopefully breaking them down and how poorly they looked in their game in the wild card weekend. Let's hope. All right. So thank you for listening. This is Nathan Schulte.
I'm Dirk Ummenhauer.
And I'm Isaac Logeman.
And we will see you next week for a very exciting week.
They have one bad team.
They're literally been to the NBA Finals the last 3 years in a row and are going back this year.
Okay, first off, I said besides LeBron James and the Cavs. Second off,
that's like it.
But you can't say besides because that's still way more championship action than we've gotten in the past 3 decades.
Okay, you know what? I'm wrong. It's early in the morning. Sometimes I say wrong things. I apologize.
Never speak again, Dirk.
I accept, Dirk, the fact that the Cleveland Browns, it's amazing. They bring down the city so much. I mean,
that's actually a better assessment.
They are failing their city incredibly from their standards right now.
I would say that's a better assessment of it, is that the Browns are so bad you feel like the rest of Cleveland is bad and the rest of Cleveland is not.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment, actually. That's what I was trying to get at.
Okay.
Well, bold predictions and score predictions coming up. Isaac, these hold extra weight from you because you're going to want to see these bold predictions come true before your eyes. So, Isaac, what are we going to see this week?
All right. So, my nice words segment was David Morgan.
Uh-huh.
Well, David Morgan is no longer in long snapping duties, so he can focus his entire day on tight end duties. And I think that's going to play out because I think Kyle Rudolph has been nursing a few injuries lately, and I don't think they're going to push it with him because even if we do get a bye, he's going to want to really get healthy because he's a key player in our playoff potential. So I think David Morgan's going to get a lot of opportunities in the tight end game, and I'm going to say that he gets a touchdown and 50 yards receiving. So a big day from David Morgan. And then I'm going to say that we beat the Bears by a final score of 31-14.
All right, Dirk?
Well, I look at this game, and it's hard to make bold predictions because I want to make bold predictions for a starter, but then again, I don't know how much the starters are going to play. But I will go out on a limb and say, as a team, we sack Mitchell Trubisky 6 times. And I think that's the same amount of points the Bears score. I say the Vikings win 28-6.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that this is going to be a big week for our young players. Say Danielle Hunter, I think he'll probably have 2 sacks this week. I think Trey Waynes will have an interception this week. I think that Ben Gadian will have his first NFL sack this week. And then moving to the offensive side, I think that Laquan Treadwell will catch his first touchdown this week. And that, along with a David Morgan touchdown, is my bold prediction.
Wow. I see it.
Wow.
Those are like 5 very realistic things. But when you take 5 very realistic things, the chances of all of them happening are much less. But
if I had to pick one out of that,
I think 3 of those could happen.
Laquan Treadwell catch his first touchdown and gain some confidence going into the playoffs.
I think out of those 5, I see the Danielle Hunter getting the sacks, Trey Waynes getting the pick, and David Morgan getting the catch. Laquan Treadwell is never going to catch an NFL touchdown. Just kidding.
What?
I will, but it's
What?
not happening this year.
Did you
What?
just see this?
Ben Gedeon, I don't think Ben Gedeon will get a sack.
Wouldn't it be awesome, though, if we made the Super Bowl and Laquan Treadwell's only touchdown of his NFL career is the one that wins the game?
It would be awesome.
But I don't think we throw it to him then if he's never caught in a touchdown because he might drop it.
But the defense wouldn't cover him.
Confidence now, otherwise he's not playing that much in the playoffs.
The defense would be like, oh, we need to cover Diggs, Thielen, and Rudolph. And then Treadwell would be wide open. They'd be like,
right now,
we
Dirk,
didn't realize that guy was going to be.
Is a way better receiver than Laquan Treadwell for our team.
Yeah, I know.
And he's going to get more
I would just really like to see Laquan Treadwell. Isaac, you could see this happen in live. You could see Laquan's first touchdown. How awesome would that be for you?
That would be awesome, Nathan. I have never been as high on Laquan Treadwell as you. Also, I was never as high on Teddy Bridgewater as you. Love Teddy Bridgewater, but Case Keenum was the answer this year. Am I right?
Yeah, I might have to admit that if we win the Super Bowl.
Okay.
So wait, if we don't win the Super Bowl, you're going to say Case Keenum was just not.
It was not the right choice. No, yeah, I'll say that. I could see myself saying that.
Okay.
But
so how much do you think I'll see of the quarterbacks? Who will I see and when?
I think you see Case Keenum for the first half, and I think you see Teddy for the second.
Yeah, my score prediction for this game.
Zimmer does not want to risk losing, I think. Zimmer wants to win this game, and the team does too, but I just think Zimmer won't allow any risk. So we need to be up by at least
I think we're up 28-10 at halftime, and we finish the game 42-10.
I think we're up 21. I think we're up 21-0, and then Zim goes, well, they can't score 21 points.
Okay, I can see that too. Either way, I think it should be a good game for our Minnesota Vikings, and hopefully everyone enjoys, especially those going to the game like Isaac, if you should be so fortunate to join him there. Thank you for listening this week. I'm Nathan Schulte.
I'm Dirk Umbenhauer.
And I'm Isaac Logeman.
And we'll see you next week.